I thought I'd begin to tell a very, very short story of transition and what it is. I don't know how many of you have come across the transition network and the concepts before. Will you please put your hand up? How many who know about this and who works actively in transition? Just a few as well, huh? Of you? Good, well then we know that. The Transition Network was founded, you could say, in the UK in the mid-2000s, so around about 2005. And it came out of two things, the ideas of permaculture and the insight into peak oil and the fact that we were going to be challenged in our fossil fuel society sooner or later, and that oil had peaked, and now it's time to think about those issues. And it was founded by a man called Rob Hopkins, who effectively brought together a lot of different people who were thinking the same thing at the same time. And so this momentum has grown. In Sweden, transition came round about 2008. It was a small group of people who went to a conference in the UK and heard about this, and they thought, this is brilliant, we have to do this in Sweden. So there were connections with All Sweden Shall Live at the time, who had a project called Sustainable Communities in the countryside. They were rural communities. And so they decided that actually this was the same thing, could it not be incorporated? So then a memorandum of understanding was written between Transition Network and All Sweden Shall Live, and for 3 years there was a project running. Since then, all sorts of organizations, Studiefrämjandet, Omställningsnätverket, and others have grown into working on these issues, and so there's been a myriad of organically grown different organizations who have decided to take on the concept. But together the Omställningsnätverket and All Sweden Shall Live hold the MOU, you could say, and we are now working to get a working national hub, because all the countries have a national hub that they are organized into. I went to, as one of the hub representatives, to the International Transition Conference in September last year, and there were 40 countries represented. And the Brits were there, of course, because they were the hosts, but I think they were a little bit taken aback about how huge this has grown. All over Europe, all over the United States and Canada, and certainly all over Latin America. It was really quite amazing to see what a movement it's become. So these are the roots of the transition movement. The question is of what is transition then? What is this transition thing? I think we are going to answer during the different presentations, and I will ask David Bennett to start his presentation and also to tell us what transition is for you.
Yes.